Greetings, y'all. My name is Carl. I live here in north central Florida, and I'm in the process of converting my otherwise ordinary lawn into something a lot more interesting and hopefully a lot more edible. So join me as we take a tour of the yard and get prepped for this spring 2025 growing season. Alrighty, y'all. Figured I'd give you a little tour of the yard here after the recent snowpocalypse here in North Florida. On the way into the house, we can see we've got a nice big old gardenia plant. We've got a cool Confederate jasmine, big clump of banana trees, which actually made some fruit for me over the summer. And as we make our way through here, the front gate, we've got a nice gigantic wisteria, and it's already starting to bud out. You can see it's got good spurs coming in on it already, so it's ready to go. Here's a kind of a neat old papyrus, but again, it got hit very hard by the recent snowstorm, as did pretty much everything else in the yard. That's why it looks so bleak. But believe it or not, there's a blackberry bush hiding under there. We've got a recent banana tree transplant, good old crepe myrtle. This is one of my little mini tomato patches I have throughout the yard, and I just kind of trained it up on the fence and use those zip ties to help hold everything in place. This is a large native hibiscus that makes tons of red flowers in the late fall, but again, got hit real hard by the recent snow and frost. But we'll come right back. I have to chop it and drop it, and it'll come back like gangbusters. And again, as we come through the backyard, you can see it's pretty brown and pretty bleak. This was all covered in snow, about 2 or 3 inches of snow a week ago, if you can believe it. And now it's already up to 80 degrees again. So you can see I've just got a little patch of grass here. I've got sort of a hugelkultur pit going here. These are all angel trumpet trees, which will come back along with the papyrus, various planters throughout the yard. I've got my workbench hiding over there, which I'll show you in a minute. And these are just the plants I tried to overwinter by putting up close to the house. There's some jade plant, lots of mulberry cuttings, some pineapple, a zillion aloe, lots of Mexican sunflower cuttings, and a few other little things hiding back there, some Meyer lemon. I'm also going to try to propagate these roses, which again got zapped by the heat, but are actually real pretty and have a beautiful scent to them. So as we come down here, again, this is all just lariat grass, which will need to get mowed back. Believe it or not, the entire yard used to be in deep, deep shade with half a dozen large trees, but we've had several hurricanes and tornadoes come through that knocked them down. I'll try to edit in some pictures here. But rather than waste the logs, I decided to keep them and just use them to help terrace the yard a bit. So I only was able to do that about 6 months ago, so it's still a bit of an experiment, but it seems to be working so far. And the idea is that as I come down here, I'm going to plant on either side of these logs to create rows. And the logs will eventually just kind of break down over time, but at least they're kind of helping to define the space and keep everything from kind of washing down this hill. And it's literally just the trunks of the old trees that were cut down, and I asked the arborist to just kind of move them around for me. And it actually saved me quite a bit of money too. They didn't have to haul them away or shred them or anything like that. I still have a few chunks left over that I can place where I want. But this at least gives the yard a little bit of structure. I've got some pass-throughs, and as we come down here, and it really starts to get steep, you can see how I kind of broke everything up into smaller little mini gardens, little plots. Again, kind of help slow the erosion and just to give it some organization. As you can see, I was able to get down my mulch just in time before the snowpocalypse hit, and I'm hoping that it'll at least save the roots of some of these more delicate plants. There's some hibiscus and some other things hiding in there. You can see where this gardenia got a little bit zapped by the cold. There's a blueberry plant, lots of elephant ears and things like that hiding in there. This was a Meyer lemon tree. I'm hoping they'll come back, but we'll see. I still probably need a few more loads of mulch to fill in all of these spaces, but at least I got the main plants themselves covered in the nick of time. And as bleak as it seems, there are actually signs of life. We've got our first little seeds popping up, and even this elephant ear that got burnt very badly by the cold is actually starting to put out some new growth here in the first week of February. So things are already starting to come back. It's just going to take another month or so for them to get into full swing. As we look around going the other way, we're kind of facing uphill now. And you can see that as I get these planted in, it'll give more privacy and kind of keep this hill from washing down. But I still have plenty of yard. I think I'm going to put a greenhouse or something like that back here eventually. But for now, at least I've got the hill stabilized and it's not going anywhere. And by the end of the summer, This little pathway here will be a complete tunnel of 12-foot tall elephant ears, banana trees, and other kind of neat exotics. You'll have to just kind of wait for the summer to kick in to see all that. But again, here's the first signs of spring coming in the elephant ears. These cast iron plants got zapped badly when we went from deep shade to bright sun after all the trees came down. So they look rough, but they'll bounce back as well. So here we have it. It's just sort of a sloping yard that I made some terraces with using logs and some little mini beds that I need to plant out, and then just covered in mulch, mulch, mulch. You can never have too much mulch. Thankfully, my city offers it for free, so got kind of lucky there. And then as we make our way out back to the front yard here, again, it's very bleak and very brown, but I promise it'll come back. You can see we've got one little patch here of banana trees. They did great last year, got humongous, well over the roof. And they get their water from the gutter, which has a pipe going to them down there. There's a monstera plant. This is lemongrass, which needs to get chopped and dropped. More cast iron plants. Mexican sunflowers in the back. This is a dwarf everbearing mulberry tree. Lots of tomato cages, and this was a great watermelon patch last year, so I'm going to do that again this year here. As we come over here to this next island, again, this is actually lemongrass that went to seed naturally. I don't know if I'll get any volunteers, but that's pretty cool that I was able to get that mature. I only got it in the ground. Ooh, a hawk. Red-tailed hawk. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, I was only able to get these in the ground starting at the beginning of summer, so a bit late, but they went crazy. But you can see I do need to chop and drop, and eventually I'll probably come through and subdivide those even and spread them out through the yard some more. Here's another big old lemongrass. I've got a few little broccoli plants going, but they haven't done well. We've got, again, another bed with some Mexican sunflower, angel trumpet, giant elephant ear, birds of paradise, which, believe it or not, is already starting to come back despite having snow on it a week ago. That's the power of mulch. And again, we see another little volunteer, and this is the first week of February, y'all. It's pretty amazing, the power of mulch. You can see these are all pineapple plants that I had in the ground, and half of them made fruit. I'm not sure they're gonna come back, but I decided to mulch them up just to see. It could be a fun little experiment. Check it out, y'all. As I was chopping and dropping the pineapple here, I got the old leaves off, and as I was digging down through the mulch, sure enough, we've already got 1, 2 little pups already starting to grow up through the mulch. I'm going to cover them back up mostly again, just to give them a little bit more protection, because we still have a few more weeks of February to go. But you can see now how pineapples work. They have a main stem that the fruit will then come out of on a stalk. It kind of looks literally like a little pineapple growing on a stalk. Goes down to the main plant, and after you've harvested the fruit, like a banana tree, it will start to send up little pups, little runners off the side, which you can either leave in place or snap off and go plant in other pots. I'm just going to leave these guys here for now, cover them up lightly with some mulch so they can get a little bit of light, but it looks like we're off to a good start, and these guys will be able to have a nice long growing season because I don't have to start them, indoors or anything like that. So we'll go through, trim everything else up here in the yard, get all this stuff chopped and dropped, and then we'll do a little after the fact tour and see how everything looks. But that's a good sign that this plant was healthy and that the mulch really does work. Pretty amazing stuff. Free pineapples. Here's what we call Fakahatchee grass. It's just kind of ornamental. Again, more huge piles of lemongrass that I need to chop and drop and subdivide. Another mulberry tree. We've got some blueberry bushes here, 3 different varieties. And then as we finally come back around again, got another little patch to play with on the other side of the yard here. There's my neighbors, they're wonderful. Here's another little banana tree patch. I kind of got it transplanted a bit late in the summer last year, but it'll come back. A hydrangea, another wisteria, and this is just another sort of trellis I like to use for tomatoes, or I'm thinking about putting a passion flower there this year. We'll see. And again, a huge giant elephant ear, which again is already starting to come back. And of course a camellia bush. You gotta have one of those down here in the deep south. And here we are, we're back to where we started. Alrighty, y'all. Here's a little bit of a tour of the backyard after I did all the chopping and dropping. These are all the cast iron plants that got bleached out by the sudden increase in sunlight. I also got these snipped along with this whole wall here, which is really bad. I got everything else in the yard chopped and dropped as well. I just got to come through with the lawnmower and get our little kind of early bits of grass that are coming up. And the next thing will be head over to the potting bench of shame over here. I'm gonna have to probably spend a good couple hours getting this all organized and up and running for the seeds that I just ordered that should be here in the next few days, so that'll be fun. I've got some cuttings we can propagate along with the seeds that we can start, along with getting all of this organized, which will be kind of oddly satisfying, right? All right, y'all. Time to hit the old potting bench. It's had a whole winter of neglect, so it's looking rough, but I got to get everything ready here because I should be getting my last bit of seeds in the mail in the next couple days. So I want to have all this sorted, ready to go. So I'm going to get all my pots organized by type and by size. I'll get all my tools sorted, and then I'll have my bench ready. So when I do finally get my seeds, I can just kind of set up a little assembly line and start just planting seeds, and getting them going. It's still the first week of February, so we still got a little bit of time before spring properly hits, but I'd like to get everything ready so I'm not waiting on anything. As soon as those seeds get here, we can get going. So let's take a look at what we're at right now and see if we can make it a little better. Voila, and through the power of YouTube, I've got everything sorted. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. I've at least got everything into matching piles, so that'll be good for now. And I've got my little seed prep station ready to go, and all my bags of exotic poop ready to go, and my various tools ready to go. So that should be good for the old planting bench here. Just got to wait for some seeds to get here in the mail, and next step is to just mow everything down, get it cut nice and short to the ground, and then hopefully we'll get some good rain and everything will come back nice and green and fresh. But I definitely want to get this bench on film here because it'll never look this clean again. Alrighty, y'all, here's a little shot of the seed collection for this year. It's nothing too fancy. I just kind of got a little bit of everything. You can see I got a couple different types of cherry tomatoes and some Roma tomatoes, along with some beefsteak and some Cherokee purple. The larger tomatoes don't always do great down here because we get these big rainstorms and they tend to bust, but I've had good luck with Cherokee purple before. I got some cool giant clumping bamboo seeds. I'm going to try to grow those. It might be a couple year project, but it might be fun to try. It's a lot cheaper, of course, than buying it already grown out. These are moringa seeds, which should sprout nicely, and they grow very quickly down here. I've got this little tri-pack of beans, 3 different colors in one, which should be fine. I'm going to grow that along a chain link fence, you know, kind of take up some space. We've got some passion flower, which is native here to Florida and the southeast really. They're also called maypops, and this is where passion fruit comes from. We've got some, you know, greens, just lettuce and little mesclun mix there. It's already kind of starting to get hot down here, so they may not do so great. We got some melons, a little honeydew, a sugar baby, and a black diamond watermelon, which makes like a black bowling ball kind of shaped melon with real bright red fruit. So that'll be cool. Got some bell peppers, some jalapeno. We got a couple different kinds of basil and some catnip for Kitty. And then, of course, we got some good flowers to bring in the pollinators. And, you know, I've got some other stuff laying around here and there. But this will keep us busy and get us started. I'll probably start with these beans first, just because the seeds are big and will look good on camera. Alrighty, y'all. Let's plant some beans here. I got this little package here that has 3 colors in one. And sure enough, you can see the beans themselves are actually, you know, different colors as well. Because they're so large as seeds, I'm going to start them here on this little bit larger seed tray as opposed to the traditional sort of 72 cell rack, simply because they'll just outgrow a little one like that so fast. So this will buy them a little bit more time, a couple weeks for them to grow in, and I'll do what, let's see, 6, 12, and that'll get us off to a good start and still leave me with plenty left over. So all I'm going to do is really fill in the seed tray about, you know, full, 3/4 of the way full. Put 1 bean, 1 seed if you like, into each cell. And rather than pushing them down, I prefer to simply just cover them back over again with more soil. And then I'll shake the tray, as you can see here. And that will essentially do all of my covering for me. That way I don't have to worry about pressing it down too deep or measuring anything out. I simply fill the tray maybe 90% of the way full, put the seed in each cell, spread more soil over the top, give it a little shake to self-level, and then of course we'll water it in. I'll do that at the very end. And then it will just sort of bury itself nicely. If you happen to see a little seed breaking through the surface, of course you can sprinkle a little bit more soil on top, but that usually isn't a problem. So we've got now half a dozen of those beans of just sort of random colors going. We'll do another half a dozen, and then we'll get busy doing all the little tomato seeds and stuff like that. Again, rather than punching a million little holes, I'm simply going to fill the tray with soil, nearly full, put a seed in each cell, cover it back over with soil, shake it level, and water it in, and they'll sort of bury themselves. So we've got our beans done, and a gazillion more to go. Alrighty, y'all, thank you for joining me here in this first video. We've got everything chopped, dropped, mulched, mowed, and we've even got some seeds started. So hopefully by the time the next video comes out, we'll be ready to put some things in the ground and have a lot more fun actually filling out our beds instead of just getting them prepped. Thank you so much for joining me in this first video, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers and chews.